सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यम् करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम्. Okay, so in the last class we had finished the fourth chapter of Chandogya. We are now entering the last of the Karma Kanda chapters, the fifth one. So please unmute yourself. We will read the entire, I think it's the entire first Khanda's mantras. So there are some 12 or 13 of them. So let's read. यः वै ज्येष्ठं च श्रेष्ठं च वेद
यः वै ज्येष्ठं च श्रेष्ठं च वेद
ज्येष्ठश्च वै श्रेष्ठश्च भवति
ज्येष्ठश्च वै श्रेष्ठश्च भवति
प्राणः वा ज्येष्ठश्च श्रेष्ठश्च
प्राणो वा ज्येष्ठश्च श्रेष्ठश्च
यः वै वसिष्ठं वेद
यः वै वसिष्ठं वेद
वसिष्ठः स्वानां भवति
वसिष्ठः स्वानां भवति
वाक् वा वसिष्ठः
वसिष्ठः
यः वै प्रतिष्ठां वेद
यः वै प्रतिष्ठां वेद
प्रतिष्ठति अस्मिन् च लोके अमुष्मिन् च
प्रतिष्ठति अस्मिन् च लोके
चक्षुः वाव प्रतिष्ठा
चक्षुर्भावप्रतिष्ठा
यः वै सम्पदं वेद
यः वै सम्पदं वेद
समः अस्मै कामपदन्ते देवाः
संहस्मै कामाः पतन्ते देवाः
च
मानुषाश्च
श्रोत्रं वाव सम्पत्
श्रोत्रं वाव सम्पत्
यः वै आयतनं वेद
यः वै आयतनं वेद
आयतनं ह्रस्वानां भवति
आयतनं स्वानां भवति
मनः वै आयतनं
मनः आयतनम्
अतः प्राण अहं श्रेयसि व्युदिरे
अतः प्राणानां श्रेयसे
अहं श्रेयान् अस्मि इति
श्रेयानस्मि अहं श्रेयानस्मि इति
तेह प्राणा प्रजापतिं पितरम् एत्य उचुः
यः प्राणपितरं
भगवन् कः नः श्रेष्ठ इति
भगवन् कः नः श्रेष्ठ इति
तान्ह उवाच यस्मिन् वै उत्क्रान्ते शरीरम्
यस्मिन् वै उत्क्रान्ते शरीरम्
पापपिष्टतरम् इव दृश्येत
पापपिष्टतरम् इव दृश्येत
स वः श्रेष्ठः इति
स वः श्रेष्ठ इति
साह वाक् उच्क्रामः
साह वाक्कुक्रामः
सा संवत्सरं प्रोष्य पर्येति उवाच कथम् अशकतऋते मत जीवितुमिति यथा कालाः अवदन्तः
यथा
यथा
काला
काला
अवदन्तः
अवदन्तः
कालः
प्राणन्तः प्राणेन
प्राणन्तः
प्राणन्तः
प्राणेन
प्राणेन
पश्यन्तः चक्षुषा शृण्वन्तः
पश्यत
पश्यन्तः
चक्षुषा
चक्षुषा
शृण्वन्तः
शृण्वन्तः
श्रोत्रेण ध्यायन्तः
श्रोत्रेण ध्यायन्तः
श्रोत्रयन्तः
मनसा एवमिति
मनसा
एवमिति
सा एवम् इति
कविवेशः वाक्
प्रविवेशः
प्रविवेशः
वाक्
शः
वाक्
वाक्
चक्षुः उचक्राम
चक्षुः
चक्षुरः
रुचकाम
क्राम
तं संवत्सरं प्रोष्य
संवत्सरं
तत्संवत्सरं प्रोष्य
सम्प्रोष्य
पर्येति उवाच
पर्येति
पर्येति
उवाच
उवाच
कथमशकतरिते मत्
कथमशकर्ते
मत
मत्
जीवितुमिति
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 यथा अन्धा पश्यन्तः
यथा
यथा
अन्धा
अन्धा
अपश्यन्तः
अपश्यन्तः
प्राणन्तः प्राणेन
प्राणन्तः
प्राणन्तः प्राणेन
प्राणेन
वदन्तः वाचा शृण्वन्तः
वदन्तः
वदन्तः
वाचा
वाचा
शृण्वन्तः
शृण्वन्तः
श्रोत्रेण ध्यायन्तः
श्रोत्रेण
श्रोत्रेण ध्यायन्तः
ध्यायन्तः
मनसा एवमिति
मनसा
मनसा
एवमिति
एवमिति
प्रविवेशः चक्षुः
प्रविवेशः चक्षुः
श्रोत्रमः उच्क्राम
श्रोत्रम उत्थिकामः
उत्क्राम
संवत्सरं प्रोष्य
तत्संवत्सरं
तत्संवत्सरं
प्रोष्य
प्रोष्य
पर्येति उवाच
पर्येत्य
पर्येत्युवाच
उवाच
कथम् अशकतरिते मत्
मशकतरत्
जीवितुम् इति
जीवितुम् इति
इति
जीवितुमिति
यथा बधीरा अशृण्वन्तः
यथा बधिरा
बधिरा
अशृण्वन्तः
अश्रुवन्तः
प्राणन्तः प्राणेन
प्राणन्तः
प्राणन्तः
प्राणेन
प्राणेन
वदन्तः वाचा पश्यन्तः
वदन्तः वाचा पश्यन्तः
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 चक्षुषा ध्यायन्तः
चक्षुषा ध्यायन्तः
ध्यायन्तः
मनसा एवम् इति
मनसा
मनसा
एवम् इति
एवमिति
प्रविवेशः श्रोत्रम्
प्रविवेशः
विवेशः
श्रोत्रम्
श्रोत्रम्
मनः उत्क्राम
मनः
मनः
उत्क्राम
उत्क्राम
सं- तत्संवत्सरं प्रोष्य
तत्संवत्सरं
तत्संवत्सरं
प्रोष्य
प्रोष्य
पर्येति उवाच
पर्येति उवाच
पर्येत्युवाच
कथमशकतरिते मत्
कथमश्यकर्ते
कथमपश्यत्तरत्
मत
मत्
जीवितुम् इति
जीवितुमिति
जीवितुमिति
यथा बालाः अमनसः
यथा
यथा
बालाः
बालाः
सः
अमनसः
प्राणन्तः प्राणेन
प्राणन्तः
अनन्तः
प्राणेन
प्राणेन
वदन्तः वाचा पश्यन्तः
वदन्तः
वदन्तः
वाचा
वाचा
पश्यन्तः
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 चक्षुषा शृण्वन्तः
चक्षुषा
चक्षुषा
शृण्वन्तः
शृण्वन्तः
श्रोत्रेण एवमिति
श्रोत्रेण एवमिति
श्रोत्रेणेवमिति
प्रविवेशः मनः
प्रविवेशः मनः
विवेशः मनः
अतः प्राण उच्चिक्रमिषन्
अतः
अतः
प्राण
प्राण
उच्चिक्रमन्
उच्चिक्रमिषन्
यथा सूहय षड्विष
यथा सुहय
यथा
षड्विष
सुहय
षड्विष
षड्विष
शङ्कून् संखिवदेत
शङ्कुं
शङ्कुं
देदे
सङ्खिदद्देवते
एवम् इतरान् प्राणान् समखिदत्
इतरान् प्राणान्
इतरान्
समखिदत
प्राणान् सङ्खिदत्
तम् अभिसमेत्य ऊचुः
तं अभिसमेत्य
समेत्य
ऊचुः
भगवन् एदि त्वं न श्रेष्ठः असि
भगवन्तेति त्वं न श्रेष्ठ
श्रेष्ठ असि
मा उत्क्रमी इति
उत्क्रमेति
उत्क्रमेति
इति
अथ एनं वाक् उवाच
अथ हेनं वाक उवाच
वाकुवाच
यत् अहं वसिष्ठ अस्मि
यद्
अहं वसिष्ठ
वसिष्ठ
अस्मि
अस्मि
त्वं तत् वसिष्ठ असि इति
त्वं
तत्
तत्
वसिष्ठ
वसिष्ठ असि इति
इति
ततः एनं चक्षुः उवाच
अथः हेनं
हैनं चक्षुरुवाच
चक्षुरुवाच
यत् अहं प्रतिष्ठा अस्मि
यद्
यद्
अहं
प्रतिष्ठा अस्मि
प्रतिष्ठा
अस्मि
अस्मि
त्वं तत् प्रतिष्ठा असि इति
त्वं
प्रतिष्ठा
तत्
प्रतिष्ठा
इति
प्रतिष्ठा
इति
इति
अतः एनं श्रोत्रम् उवाच
अथः
एनं
एनं
श्रोत्रमुवाच
श्रोत्रमुवाच
वाच
यत् अहं सम्पत् अस्मि
यद्
यद्
अहं
अहं
सम्पत्
सम्पत्
अस्मि
अस्मि
तस्मै
त्वं तत् सम्पदसि इति
त्वं तत् सम्पदसि
तत्सम्पदसीति
इति
अतः एनं मनः उवाच
अथः
एवं
एनं
मनः
मनः
उवाच
उवाच
यत् अहम् आयतनमस्मि
यद्
यद्
अहम्
अहम्
आयतनमस्मि
आयतनमस्मि
त्वं तत् आयतनमसि इति
त्वं तत्
तं
आयतनमसि
तदयन्तनमसि
तदयन्तनम्
इति
इति
न वै वाचः
न
न
वै
वै
वाचः
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 न चक्षुंषि न श्रोत्राणि
न
न
चक्षुषि
चक्षूंषि
न
न
श्रोत्राणि
श्रोत्राणि
न मनांसि इति आचक्षते
न
न मनहंस इति
मनन्ति
याचक्षते
आसक्ते
नाचक्षते
प्राणः इति एव आचक्षते
प्राणः
प्राणः
इति
इति
एव
एव
आचक्षते
आचक्षते
प्राणः इति एव एतानि सर्वाणि भवति
प्राण
प्राणः
इति
एतानि
एतानि सर्वाणि
सर्वाणि
भवन्ति
भवति
इति प्रथमखण्डः
इति
इति
प्रथमखण्डः
प्रथमखण्डः
Okay, so that's a long. Anyway, now, so we are starting the fifth chapter, Panchamo Adhyaya. And as you know, each chapter consists of sections which we call khandas. And in this fifth chapter, there are 24 sections, 24 khandas. And taken together, they deal with three very, very well-known upasanas, at least well-known during those days. Okay. And upasanas are called Vidya also. The term Vidya also refers to upasanas in the Karma Kanda section. So the three upasanas are Prana Vidya, Panchagni Vidya, and Vaishvanara Vidya. We could also call it Prana Upasana, Panchagni Upasana, and Vaishvanara Upasana. The popular names Prana Vidya, Panchagni Vidya are there. So we should know what they are. So the first two sections, they deal with Prana Vidya. Now, prana here is not individual jiva prana. It is samashti prana. What is other name for samashti prana?
हिरण्यगर्भ
Hiranyagarbha. Okay, so you should not forget all these things. So it can be called prana vidya, it can be called Hiranyagarbha upasana also. Right? Now remember that Hiranyagarbha upasana we have seen before in different contexts. But here, this Hiranyagarbha in this prana vidya is going to be meditated upon with the gunas. And there are six gunas, which we will see as we go along. Jeshta, Shrestha, Vashishtha, Pratishtha, Sampada, and Ayatanam. There are six gunas of Hiranyagarbha. And what are they? We will see. So, in this first mantra, I am going not word by word, okay, because it's too long to explain. I'll just give you the gist. In the first mantra, it is said that prana has two gunas. Jeshtham cha Shreshtham. What is Jeshtham? Jeshtham is the eldest, being the eldest, the firstborn. How is this relevant for prana? So Shankara in his commentary says that when the baby is born in the womb itself, what is the first thing which manifests? It is prana only. Prana has to be there, breathing has to be there. Once the fetus is breathing, then all the other organs will manifest in due course. So therefore, prana is the jeshtham, the eldest. And he says Shreshtham. It is also the greatest. Why greatest? Because prana sustains all other parts of the body. All of the indriyas are sustained by prana. If prana is not there, the indriyas will not be functional. And therefore he says, Yoha vai jeshtham cha shreshtham cha veda. One should do upasana on prana, on Hiranyagarbha, with these two gunas, jeshtham and shreshtham. And remember, this is a independent upasana. Swatantra upasana it is. What is the phalam? So he says, Jeshthascha vai Shreshthascha bhavati. He will be the eldest. In this case, he will be the leader. And Shreshthascha, he will be a very important person also. So he will be a leader in society and he will also be an outstanding and important person in society. That is the phalam. Okay. The next guna is given in mantra number 2. So he says, Yo havai Vashishtham Veda, Vashishtoha Swanam Bhavati, Vagvava Vashishtaha. So Vashishtham means having wealth. And the glory of being wealthy, he says, is attributed to the tongue, to the vak. Vak, Vava, Vashishtaha. Your vak is your wealth, right? Vak, Vava, Vasishtaha. So Vasu, it comes from the dhatu Vasu. Vasu means wealth. And Shankara adds in his commentary, why is it said that the tongue is the main attribute for wealth? Because Shankara says that with appropriate speech, if you have a sweet tongue, you will have lots of opportunities to earn money. And therefore, the upasana here is on prana with the guna of vasishtham, of wealth. What is the phalam? It's obvious. He will have a sweet tongue. And in this case, as you can see, the upasana is not only as upasana, it is more of a glorification of prana also. It's saying that prana will give you a sweet tongue. Then the next guna is in mantra number 3. So we are going guna by guna, right? Three already over. This is the fourth guna we are seeing. So the guna here is Yo havai pratishtham veda prati hatishtati asmin loke amushmin loke cha chakshurva pratishtha. The guna is pratishtha. Pratishtha is what? Support. And this guna is attributed to chakshu, to the eyes. And you can easily understand why. Why does the eye have the guna of being the supporter? Is it a difficult question?
Um, to see, vision gives him the right
When you walk,
maybe stability or
stability, you can walk safely only if you've got eyes. Eyes are the support. And you have to meditate upon prana, upon Hiranyagarbha with this guna. And what is the phalam? Phalam, as the guna, so the phalam, right? So the phalam is that the person will be well supported throughout his life. He will have no lack of support. Then the fourth guna is in mantra 4, sampadam. Sampadam means wealth. And wealth means all that you can wish for, all the desires that you can have. And he says, Daivascha, Manushascha. All the wealth, both in this world, Manushascha, and Daivascha in the next world also. And this guna is attributed to the ears. Shrotram Vava Sampat, he says. The guna is associated with the ears. And why so? We wouldn't know, right? Shankara in his commentary says, when you listen to the Veda through Shravanam, you will be able to chant the Vedic mantras. And the Karmakanda mantras are necessary for you to attain your. Can I request whoever is got mic on to please put it off? So, when you listen to the Veda, of course, using your ears, you can chant the Vedic mantras. And the Vedic mantras are necessary for you to attain the desires, kama vishaya. Therefore, Stotram is necessary. What is the phalam of the desire of this upasana? Obviously, you will fulfill all your desires, right? Because it is kama vishaya. Then then there is a final upasana in the next mantra. So here, what is the guna? Ayatanam. Yohava ayatanam veda. So the guna is ayatanam. Ayatanam is attributed to manohava ayatanam. Means the ayatanam is associated with the mind. And Shankara says, why is this so? Because all the knowledge, all the experiences, they are all in your mind. They are stored in your mind. The mind is the storehouse of all knowledge and experiences. The phalam, therefore, is what? This person becomes the ayatanam of all people. He becomes the residence of all people. Okay, with this, the upasana portion is over. Now we enter into a story. Right? Now is the story. And this story you have heard before, but now you will know where the source is. The source is from this particular section, chapter 5, this particular section. So there is a dispute. What is the dispute? Aham Shreyasi Vyudhire. All the Indriyas, they have this argument. Each says, I am the most superior Indriya in the body. Right? And they could not come to agreement. So what did they do? They went to Prajapati. Teha pranaha Prajapatim Pitarametya. They went to Prajapati. And Uchuhu, they said, Bhagavan Konaha Shreshtaha. They went to Lord Brahmaji. They said, Oh Lord, who is the Shreshtaha? Who is the most superior among all of us? So Brahmaji said, there is only one way to find out. I won't come and tell you that who is the Shrestast. What should you do? Turn by turn, each one of you should leave the body for some time, should desert the body and go away. And when you come back, you will find that in the absence of one of you, the body is as if dead. That is meant by papishthataram eva, that particular word, papishthataram eva, as if dead, right? As if you are dead. So when you find who is it in whose absence the body is as if dead, sa shrestha iti. That is the greatest one. Okay, then you can see all the mantras are very similar, and I will give you the essence of the eighth mantra. So he says, Saha Vak Uchkrama Sa Samvatsaram. It's pretty simple Sanskrit actually. Saha Vak Uchkrama. Vak Indriya Uchkrama went out. How long? Samvatsaram, for 1 year. Okay. Then what happens to the Indriyas during that 1 year is not mentioned. But it says Vak comes back after 1 year and says, Katham Ashakata Rite, how have you lived without me? Mat Jivitam iti. Jivitum iti. How have you lived without me? Tell me, how did you live without me for 1 year? What did you do for 1 year without me? I think I will have to mute all of you. Okay, fine. So the answer comes, Yatha Kala Avadantaha. Right? So what went out? Vak went out. And Kala here means the person who cannot speak. So Yatha Kala Avadantaha. We lived like people who could not speak, like dumb people we lived. But Pranantaha Pranena, but we were breathing with the prana. Paschanta Chakshusha, we were seeing with the eyes. Srinmanta Shotrena, we were hearing with the ears. Vyayanta Manasaha, we were thinking with the mind. Right? In short, you may have gone out, but only the activities which are dependent upon you, which were talking basically, that was not available. All other faculties were intact. Okay. Then what it says? Evamiti praviveshaha havak. Vak then decided that, okay, I'm not the one who is the greatest. I'm not the indispensable one. And therefore, what happened? Vak re-entered the body. Okay. Now, the next mantras, mantra 9 to 11, I am not giving detailed explanation, but they have to be interpreted exactly the same way. Right? That what is that? Well, let us see. So it says, Chakshuhu Uchkramaha. I went out. And Tat Samvatsaram Prosya, having stayed away for 1 year, Paryeti Uvacha, it came back and said, how could you live without me? And what was the answer? Yatha Andaha Apashyantaha. Like the blind, we lived because we could not see. But what happened? Pranantaha Pranena, we were breathing with the prana. Vadantaha Vachaha, we were speaking with the Vakindriya. Srinmantaha Sotrena, we were hearing with the ear. Dhyayantaha Manasa, we were thinking with the mind. So what did the I decide? I said, okay, fine. I am also not indispensable. And therefore, Praviveshaha Chakshuhu, the I re-entered. Okay. Then next was what? Shrotram. So Shrotram went out and that Samvatsram Prosya, having stayed away for 1 year, Pariyeti Uvacha, it came back and said, Katham Ashakata Rite Mata Jivitomiti. How could you live without me for 1 year? Please let me know. So they said, Yatha Badhiraha. Badhira means deaf. Because what went? Shrotram went. Yatha Badhiraha, like a deaf person will live, but Ashranmantaha, without hearing. But what? Pranantaha Pranena, we are breathing with the breath. Vadantaha Vacha, we are talking with the tongue. Pashyantaha Chakshusha, we were seeing with the eyes. Dhyayantaha Manasa, we were thinking with the mind. So Shrotram recognized that I am not the greatest. And Praviveshaha Shrotram, he re-entered the body. Then the mind goes, Manaha Uchkrama. The mind went out, stayed away for 1 year, returned and said, how could you live without me? And they said, Yatha Balaha Amanasaha. Like small infants, Amanasaha, who don't function in a thinking manner, as if they don't have a mind. But Pranantah Pranena, Adantah Vacha, Pashyantah Chakshusha, Srinvantah Srotra, Evamiti. We lived like this. The mind also recognized that it was not the greatest. So Praviveshaha Manaha, the mind re-entered. Right. Now, if you look at the mantras, you will see in the 12th mantra, it starts with Ataha Prana Uch Uchi Kramishan. Uch Kramishan. What was the earlier one? Uch Krama. Uch Krama meant departed, went away. Uch Kramishan, Uchi Kramishan is about to depart. So Ataha Prana Uchi Kramishan. The breath, the prana was about to pack up and leave. And then what happened? Yatha Suvahaya Pat Vishakshankun Samkhideta, as a very fine horse might tear out the pegs. Shankur is the pegs on which the horse has been tied. The rope around the horse has been tied to the pegs. So if a horse is strong enough, it can pull out the ropes and the pegs, right? So just like a fine horse might tear out all the pegs along with the rope, evam, in the same manner, itran pranan samkhidat. It tore out all the other breaths also, right? The main prana when it's going, all the five pranas will go. So it began to tear out all the five pranas. And as the pranas went out, what happened? Tamha abhisametya uchuhu. They gathered round Mukhya Prana and said, Bhagavan, edi tvam na naha shrestha asi. O Lord Prana, you are the superior most among us. Utkrami iti. Do not depart. Please do not depart. Because if you depart, we will also not survive. Then, ataha enam vak uvacha. Then the Vakindriya said to Prana, Yat aham vasishtha asmi. I am the most excellent, I said, but tvam tat vasishtha asi iti. Now I say, you are the most excellent. And similarly, athaha enam chakshuhu uvacha, yat aham pratishtha asmi, tvam tat pratishtha asi iti. I said, I am the foundation, I am the support, but really speaking, you are that support. Similarly, the ear said to it, I am the wealth, but really speaking, you are the wealth. The mind said to Prana, I said that I am the residence, the ayatanam, but really speaking, you are that ayatanam. Right? Then, navai vachaha na chakshumshihi na shrotrani na manasamsi iti ashakshate. So therefore, it is said that all these indriyas, the eye indriya, the vak indriya, the shrotra indriya, the mind indriya, prana iti eva achakshate. We can also call them prana. The indriyas can also be called prana because prana hi eva etani sarvani bhavati. Because the prana itself is the reason for all this being alive, and therefore they can be called prana itself. With this, the Pratama Khanda is over. This story we have heard before, right? And this is the source of the
Yes,
story.
we have heard. Yeah.
This is where the story comes from. Then it continues. The story is not over. So, this is the second Khanda we will read. Saha uvacha
सः उवाच
kim me annam bhavishyati iti
किं मे अन्नं भविष्यति
yat kim cha idam ashobhyah
यत्
Vyah
अभव्यः
ashakunyabhyah
Ashakunibhyah
iti ha uchuhu
Itiha Uchuhu
tattva etat anasya annam
Tattva Etat Anasyasya Annam
manaha vai nama pratyaksham
Manahavai Nama Pratyaksham
naha vai evam vidi
Evamidhi
kimcham annam ananam bhavati iti.
Kincham Annanam Bhavati Iti
So it is ananam, not anannam, ananam. Kimcha na anannam bhavati iti. Then
Kincha Na Ananam Bhavati Iti
the second mantra. Saha uvacha
Saha Uvacha
kim me vasaha bhavishyati iti
Kim me Vasaha Bhavishyati
apahitya uchuhu
Apahitya Uchuhu
tasmat vai etat ashishyantaha
Tasmat Vai Etat Ashishyantaha
पुरस्तात् च उपरिष्ठात् च
Purashthascha Uparishthascha
अद्भिः परिददति
Adhihi Paridadati
लम्बुकः वासः भवति
Lambukaha Vasaha Bhavati
अनग्नः भवति तथ एतत् सत्यकामजाबालः
Etah Satkama Jabala
गोश्रुतये
Ye
वयाघ्रपदाय
Vayaghrapadaya
उक्त्वा उवाच
Acha
यदि अपि एनत् शुष्काय स्थाणवे ब्रूयात्
Yena Shushkaya Snanave Bruyat
जायरन् एव अस्मिन् शाखाः
जायरन्नेवनस्मिन्
जायरन्नेवनस्मिन्
शाखाः
शाखा च
प्ररोहेयुः
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 पलाशानि इति
पलाशानि
पलाशानि
इति
इति
अथ यदि महत् जिग्मिषेत
अथ यदि
यदि
महज्जिज्ञेषेद
महज्जिज्ञेषेद
अम अमावास्यायां दीक्षित्वा
अमावास्यायां
अमावास्यायां
दीक्षित्वा
दीक्षित्वा
पौर्णमास्यायां रात्रौ
पौर्णमास्यायां
पौर्णमास्यां रात्रौ
रात्रौ
सर्वौषधस्य मन्थं दधि
सर्वोषधस्य मन्थं दधि
मधुनोः उपमथ्य
मधुनोः उपमथ्य
ज्येष्ठाय श्रेष्ठाय स्वाहा
ज्येष्ठाय
ज्येष्ठाय
श्रेष्ठाय स्वाहा
श्रेष्ठाय स्वाहा
इति अग्नौ आज्यस्य हुत्वा
इति अग्नौ
अग्नौ
आज्यस्य
आज्वस्य
हुत्वा
हुत्वा
मन्ते सम्पातम् अवनयेत्
मन्त्रे
मन्त्रे
सम्पातम्
सम्पादम्
अवनयेत्
अवनयेत्
वसिष्ठाय स्वाहा इति
वसिष्ठाय
वसिष्ठाय
स्वाहा इति
स्वाहा इति
अग्नौ आज्यस्य हुत्वा
अग्नौ
आज्यस्य
आज्यस्य
हुत्वा
हुत्वा
मन्ते सम्पातम् अवनयेत्
मन्त्रे सम्पादम् अवनयेत्
सम्पातमपवनयेत्
प्रतिष्ठायै स्वाहा इति
प्रतिष्ठायै स्वाहा
प्रतिष्ठायै
इति
स्वाहा इति
अग्नौ आज्यस्य हुत्वा
अग्नौ आज्यस्य हुत्वा
मन्ते सम्पातम् अवनयेत्
मन्त्रे
मन्त्रे
सम्पादम् अवनयेत्
सम्पातमवनयेत्
सम्पदे स्वाहा इति
सम्पदे स्वाहा इति
स्वाहा इति
अग्नौ आज्यस्य हुत्वा
अग्नौ
आज्यस्य हुत्वा
आज्यस्य हुत्वा
मन्ते सम्पातम् अवनयेत्
मन्त्रे
मन्त्रे
सम्पादमवनयेत्
सम्पातमवनयेत्
आयतनाय स्वाहा इति
आयतनाय
आयतनाय
स्वाहा इति
स्वाहा इति
अग्नौ आज्यस्य हुत्वा
अग्नौ आज्यस्य
आजस्य
हुत्वा
हुत्वा
मन्ते सम्पातमवनयेत्
मन्त्रे
सम्पादमवनयेत्
सम्पातमवनयेत्
अथ प्रतिस्रप्य अञ्जलौ मन्थम् आधाय जपति
अथ
अथ प्रतिसृप्याञ्जलौ मन्थाय धाय इति
अथ प्रतिसृप्य अञ्जलौ मन्थम् आधाय जपति
अथ प्रतिसृप्याञ्जलौ मन्थाय धाय जपति
अमः नाम असि
यमः नाम असि
अमाहिते सर्वमिदम्
अमाहिते सर्वमिदम्
स हि ज्येष्ठश्च श्रेष्ठश्च राजा अधिपतिः
स हि ज्येष्ठश्च श्रेष्ठश्च राजाधिपतिः
समाज्येष्ठ्यं श्रेष्ठ्यम्
ज्येष्ठं श्रेष्ठम्
राज्यम् अधिपत्यं गमयतु
राज्यमद्गत्यम्
अहम् एव इदं सर्वम् असानि इति
अहमेव इदं
सर्वमसानि इति
सर्वमसानि इति
अथ खलु एतया ऋचा पच्छ आचमति
अथ खलु एत्या
आचमति
आचम इति
तत्सवितुः व्रणीमहे इति आचमति
तत्सवितुः
तत्सवितुः
वृणीमः इति
वृणीमः
आचम इति
इति आचमत् इति
वयं देवस्य भोजनमिति आचमति
वयं देवस्य
देवस्य
भोजनम् इति आचमति
आचमति
श्रेष्ठं सर्वधातमम् इति आचमति
श्रेष्ठं
श्रेष्ठं
सर्वधातम् इति
सर्वदा
आचमति
माचमति
तुरं भगस्य धीमहि इति सर्वं पिबति
तं भगस्य धीमहि
इति
सर्वं
पिबति
पिबति
निर्निज्जय कसं च समं वा समं च समं वा
वा
पश्चात् अग्नेः संविशति
पश्चादग्नेः संविशति
चर्मणि वा स्थण्डिले वा वाचम्यमा अप्रसाः
कर्मणि वा स्थलन्ते वा वाचयम्
वाचम्यमा चर्मणि वा स्थण्डिले वा
कर्मणि वा स्थण्डिले वा
वाचं यमा अप्रसाहः
वाचं यमा अप्रसाहः
स यदि स्त्रियं पश्येत्
स यदि स्त्रियं पश्येत्
समृद्धं कर्म इति विद्यात् तत् एष श्लोकः
एष श्लोकः
यदा कर्मसु कामेषु स्त्रियं स्वप्नेषु पश्यन्ति
यदा कर्मसु कामेषु स्त्रियं स्वप्नेषु पश्यति
यदा कर्मसु कामेषु स्त्रियं स्वप्नेषु पश्यन्ति
यदा कर्मसु कामेषु स्त्रियं स्वप्नेषु पश्यन्ति
समृद्धं तत्र जानीयात्
समृद्धं तत्र जानीयात्
तस्मिन् स्वप्न निर्दशने
अस्मिन् स्वप्ननिर्दशने निदर्शने
तस्मिन् स्वप्न निदर्शने
स्वप्ननिदर्शने
इति द्वितीयखण्डः
इति द्वितीयखण्डः
another very long one. Okay, so in this chapter, in this particular section, we have two topics. One is the attitude that should be there for a prana upasaka. So the drishti, the way you should look at the whole upasana. And this drishti, the attitude is taken as an angam, as an integral part of the prana upasana. If the drishti is not there, upasana phalam will not be there. So the first is drishti, the attitude. The second is the karma, what is to be done by the prana upasaka. So prana vidya, karma anga. There are two things. Drishti as a anga, and karma as a anga for prana vidya. And these two mantras, the first two mantras, they discuss the first topic. So prana says, Kim me annam bhavishyati iti. What is my food? Prana is asking the other indriyas, what exactly is my food? So other indriyas say that any food eaten by any living being is food for prana. Right? So that's why it says ashwabhyaha, ashwabhyaha. The food eaten by a dog to shakunibhyaha, to food eaten by a bird. All food, whatever type of food is there, it is the food for prana. How is this to be understood? Because all food ultimately goes to replenish prana only. And here, it is not Vyashti prana, it is Samashti prana. So the food for all living beings is finally the food for prana. I hope I'm being clear. It is not the human food only that is the food for Samashti prana. The food for any living being, because the food for any living being is necessary for the sustenance of prana in that living being. And therefore, the prana of all living beings is nourished by the food of all living beings. Therefore, he says, the food for every living being is your food. And prana here is given a title, an meaning activity. Why? Because prana, how do you recognize that a person has prana? When he does some actions. And therefore, prana can be recognized only through activity. Therefore, the title is anaha, activity. And then he says, kinchana, annam bhavati iti. He does not look upon any food as ananam, as not food for himself. And therefore, What is being said is that the Upasaka should, because he is identifying with prana, he is meditating upon prana, he should not look down upon any food. He should not reject any food at all. All annam is to be accepted by him. Of course, some commenters add that this excludes prohibited food. Like meat, for example, is prohibited. Therefore, that need not come under the definition over here. But Upasaka should see all sort of foods as annam. But since he's a human being and a Vaidika, the prohibited food, which is food for other living beings, like meat is food for a tiger. So that is not to be taken as another definition of annam, not food. That is the exception. Then, in the next mantra, Prana says, where are my clothes? Sahavacha kim se vaso bhavishyati iti. Where are my clothes? So the Indriyas say that your clothes are apaha iti. Water is your clothes. All water is your clothes. And that is why, if you have seen any traditional Vaidika having food, before he eats, what does he do?
Achamanyam
Achamana.
samarpayami.
Achamana, right? Achamana means the sipping of little water in your palm. So what is he doing? He's providing clothing to the prana by sipping the water. So that's why it's called achamana. And he says abdihi, addihi paridhati. Water is sipped where purastat, before eating, and uparishtat, after eating also. What is the benefit of these two actions for the upasaka? Because it is mandated in the Shruti, this action will produce punyam for him. Just the sipping of water before and after food will produce punyam for him. And that is why it is for any traditional upasaka, when he eats, he will do this. In the next mantra, Shruti glorifies the prana upasana by pointing out that this upasana is part of Guru Shishya Parampara. What is the parampara? Jabala, Jabalaha taught Gau Shrutaye. Gau Shrutaye is another name. Vayagna Padya. Both are the name of the one person. So Jabala taught Gau Shrutaye. And what is the glory of the Upasana? Yadi Shushkaya Pranave Bruyat. Shushkaya is a drying plant. Okay, Shushkaya Pranave Bruya. If a person chants this Upasana mantra even to a dying plant, what will happen? Asmin Shakaha Jayet. In that plant, fresh sprouts will come, and Palashani Proheyuhu. Leaves will come. That means the dead plant will come back to life. Okay. Then the next fourth mantra, fifth mantra is a sample of Karma Kata. So this ritual is Prana Upasana Angam. So it says Amavasyayam Dikshitva. Having taken your Diksha on Amavasya day, Paurnamasayam Ratro. On the night of the Paurnamasa, what should you do? You have to bring local plants, right? And then mix it with curd and honey. And after that, Hutva. Then offer it as an oblation where into Agnau, at this place, into the fire, or to the fire god, Ajyasya. So Ajyasya we have seen before. In the Homakund, there is a particular place for offering the offerings, for offering the oblations. There itself we have to offer. And this mantra is for the six gunas. And therefore it says Jeshtasya Swaha, Shreshtasya Swaha, all this you have to say. And Manthe Sampatam. Manthe is the mixture, right? Whatever is left over of the offering, remember that when you take a ladle to offer, the oblation into the fire, something remains in the ladle, right? This is called manthe over here. Whatever remnants are there on the ladle, on the spoon, after you have given the whole offering to the fire, it's called mantha sheshaha, what is left over. Avanayet. Avanayet means you should collect them. And this mantha sheshaha has to be that consumed by the upasaka. How? It's given in the next mantras. So he says, after collecting the mantha sheshaha, what is the mantha sheshaha? What is left over on the ladle, right? Then atha pratisapya. Pratisapya means you have to come away from the fire. So very detailed. You collect the remnants of the oblation from the ladle, then you move away from the fire, and anjalo mantham adhaya. You hold the pot into which you have put all the remnants. The mantaseshaha is put into a pot. So you hold that pot anjalo in your palms. And what should you do? Japati amo amo namasi. The amo devata. Amo devata is another name for prana devata. The prana devata has to be invoked on mantaseshaha by saying amo amo namasi. You are that prana. He's telling the Mantasheshaha, the remnants of the oblation is telling you are that pranaha and you are Jeshtasha, you are Jeshtaha, you are Sreshtaha, and you are Raja Adipati, you are the ruler of the kingdom. And then he says, may you take me and bless me with Jeshtaha, Sreshtaha, and Raja Adipati. May you bless me as the greatest, as the eldest, and as the controller of everything. And ahameva idam sarvam asanati. May I become everything. May I become all that is there to become. Right? Iti. The iti indicates that is the end, mantra end. And then this japa is repeat. And after the japa is repeated, again there is a laid down process for consuming that mantra shesha. What is that? Itya chamati. For every mouthful that he takes, he has to repeat the mantra. Tat savitur vranīmahe vayam devasya bhojanam. Shreshtam sarvadhatamam turam bhagyasya dhimahi. You have to repeat the mantra after every mouthful. Why? Because everything is annam for pranadeva. So devasya bhojanam. This mantra sheshaha is for pranadevata. Vayam vranīmahe. We are, however, seeking this annam for ourselves. And tat savituhu Agasya dhimahi. I am meditating upon that pranadevata. And with this thought, you are consuming the annam. So that mantra has four padas. Tat savitu vranimahi vayam devasya bhojanam. So after chanting each pada, achamati. He has to take one mouthful of the mantra sheshaha and sarvam pibati. After the fourth pada is over, after he has chanted all the three padas and the fourth pada, in one shot, he can consume the entire remaining mantasesha if it is left over. And it's not over yet. Nirnijya kamsam chamasam va. Then he has to nirnijya. Nirnijya means wash. He has to wash the vessel. Where does he wash? Paschad agnehe. On the western side of the fire, he has to wash. And after washing, what should he do? Samvishati. He should go and lie down somewhere. And Vacham yamo aprasaha. He should control his speech, right? And where should he lie down? Charmani va sthandileva. On a charmani, on a deer skin. And sthandile is basically the ground of the yajnashala. So you should put a deer skin on the ground and you should quietly lie down there without talking. And then of course, you have to assume that he goes to sleep. And then it says, Sa yadi striyam pasyet. If he sees a woman in his dream, samruddham karmeti vidyat, then he should know that his yajna has been successful. And tadesha shlokaha. In this connection, there is a mantra. What is that? Yada karmasu kameshu sriyashu swapneshu pashyati samruddhim tatra janiyat. That's the mantra which says that when a kame karma is being done, and if on that day he sees a woman in his dreams, then he should know that the yajna has been successful. Tasmin swapna Nidarshane. He should recognize the success because of the lady in the tree. And Tasmin Swapna Nirdarshane. This is a repetition for indicating that it is the end of the khanda. Right? So with this, the second khanda is also over. Second section is also over. Any questions? All very, very ritualistic, and we will be using them when we come to Brahma Sutras. Until then, you have to keep this in your mind.
Om Acharya.
Yeah.
What is the significance of the lady in his dream?
It indicates
How does-
success
Yeah, I mean, what is the connection?
because Shruti says so.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You don't question
Yes.
Shruti Vakya. Shruti says that
Yes,
if you
yes.
see a lady in your dream after
Right.
yajna, then your
Hmm.
yajna is successful.
Yes.
Okay, so with this, we'll stop for today. Thank you for your patience. I know you have to be patient for a few more classes where lots of Karma Kanda will come. Then we will finally move over to Jnana Kanda.
We admire your patience, Acharya ji.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Sat Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience. Om 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 Om.
Thank you, Ravi ji. Thank you, Ravi ji.
Thank you.